Welcome everybody to yet another game of the GameShow Invitational. We are already pretty damn close to the playoffs actually, but a couple more games need to be played for that, and well, this is one of those. It is Fiskestanga going up against Horde Gaming, and this is the so-called loser match because the group stages are being played in a GSL format, as in you have to win two best of threes to advance, and well, you can lose only one. Both of those teams have already lost, one against Moscow 5, the other against Burden United. And Moscow 5 actually has already made it through this group, so whoever wins this one is going to have to face Burden United once more, maybe. But we're, well, casters from HeflaTV, but here we are. I'm Couchor, going to be joined by Danelie as well here, and coming into this best of three, are there any favorites for you?
Unfortunately for me, I actually haven't been able to see these teams play, so I can't really gauge any favoritism between either of them. I've actually never casted Horde before. I do remember casting Fiskestanga, I think it was a couple of months ago, but that was at the old patch. I'm not too sure how they're coping with the new stuff. So, favorites wise, I can't really tell you any. Maybe names wise, I like the pufferfish better, so Fiskestanga.
I mean, Fiskestanga for me are the favorites coming into this just because they have. I'm not too sure if they've been together for longer, just because Horde Gaming, who knows, maybe they've been together for years, but just haven't been in my radar before or something like that. Whereas Fiskestanga, I do know them from just JDL Division 2 mostly, but they, at least on paper, have looked better. I mean, Horde Gaming, the game they had in the first round, I have to say it wasn't all that impressive, but it was a couple of weeks ago already by now, I believe, and well, there have been quite a bit of patch notes in the meantime, of course, as well. Just mini nerfs, and we'll see how well they've adapted here, but Witch Doctor Earthshaker for them, so already lots of lockdown, both are decent heroes against any IO combination, but Fiskestanga, they don't leave anything to chance, they pick up the Tiny for the IO partner straight out.
It's such a strong combination. This is the strongest combination with the Wisp in the patch. I'm surprised that there's been no nerfs, no changes to Tiny at all. There've been some Wisp changes, but Tiny as a hero, he's been left unchecked. But I guess that's just because Wisp as a hero, he's so versatile, he makes the Tiny strong, whereas when you see Tiny by himself, it's very difficult for him to come online compared to times when you put him with that Wisp. So they're going to be strong right off the bat. They should win their lane, unless Horde picks up something like a Templar Assassin, plus leave the Witch Doctor in the mid lane with them just to bully out the Tiny Wisp. Then maybe it would be a little bit harder for Fiskestanga in that mid lane, but there's a lot of stuff Fiskestanga can do with their draft. They're just so open with the Tiny Wisp.
Yeah, it's definitely a strong combination, and we'll see how Horde want to tackle this kind of. Maybe they want to go somewhat aggressive, maybe just go for more of a pushing kind of style, pick up a Lycan, something like that to, at least in theory, end the game before the Tiny just gets huge, before they get to the stage of just, we relocate and we can just go through backdoor rotation and still get like tier 3s, racks afterwards, something like that. Just because Tiny, he's hitting rather hard once he gets the Aghanim Scepter, but he really does need like an AC on top of that to really combat the backdoor.
Yeah, he needs the AC, and it also speeds up the pushing process too. Now, Horde though, their game plan is just to pretty much shut down this Tiny Wisp as soon as possible, and they've got two supports that can actually deal with this combination very well. You have the Witch Doctor with the potential cast bounces, super annoying for Tiny Wisp because they're always going to be together, and Earthshaker, the Fissure, it should always connect onto both heroes. If it doesn't, unfortunate, but also Echo Slam will be useful when it comes to either keeping them in place long enough for backup or potentially killing them off with a creep wave. So I like how Horde decided to pick up their supports. They saw the Wisp, they said, okay, there's going to be a partner with this, let's pick up some supports to deal with it right off the bat.
Yeah, it certainly makes sense there, but well, Horde Gaming now, we see something different from them, although I suppose Darkseer is becoming a little bit more popular now that he received some buffs, kind of necessary buffs to him as well, just because nobody was touching that hero otherwise. But Darkseer, I mean, it's nice like vacuum into Paralyzing Cask or vacuum into just Echo Slam, or even just Fissure. It can definitely be nice, but can this be like a Darkseer mid lane now to try to just make IO Tiny a little bit less effective should they also go into the mid lane?
It could be, because the Darkseer Ion Shells, it's a hindrance to any melee carry farming in the mid lane, so it could be a possibility if Horde wants to do it. So we'll see if Fiskestanga decide to draft a mid hero and put the Tiny Wisp safe lane, or if they're going to actually keep them in the mid lane and say, we're probably going to win this mid lane anyway. Let's just hope we have a decent time. A Dazzle, third pickup though for Fiskestanga. Very, very defensive support.
Yeah, and well, I suppose up against the amount of lockdown that you are facing potentially here, the Shallow Grave may just be enough for like an IO to relocate the target out, for example. And to be honest, it is almost impossible to even kill one hero when there's a Shallow Grave and the IO is close by and he's level 6 at least. The best way is to just lock down the IO himself, and of course, Fiskestanga, they did ban out Elina, one of the just better heroes, and just like you use Laguna Blade and IO is dead. That's almost as easy as it is sometimes. But Horde, although they have quite a bit of lockdown, they don't have the most amount of burst damage, at least not for now. And well, thinking of heroes that are normally used, I guess like a Lion, but not too sure if it would fit in their lineup anymore, since they already have two heroes that can easily support. Queen of Pain, of course, banned out by themselves, so I mean, are there any like high burst heroes still left even?
It depends on the lanes. As we said, Darkseid could go mid, he could go off lane. So depending on what lanes are still left open, what do we have? So we could still use mid. Mid lane...
I suppose like a Puck, maybe?
A Puck could, but he's very squishy. And especially when there's the Tiny Wisp, he has to put points into the phase shift to avoid
like
the
Puck
avalanche.
Off lane, Darkseid mid, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, they could go for the offlane Earthshaker. We have seen a couple of teams trying to go for an offlane Earthshaker, but I don't think it's going to be viable this game. You need a stronger offlaner than that Earthshaker, because Earthshaker can't guarantee himself farm. He can guarantee utility, but he cannot guarantee that early blink dagger just because he doesn't farm as well as some other offlaners, like for example a Tide Hunter or a Bat Rider. They will go for Bristleback though. Probably going to be the safe laner? Mid lane? Actually, Bristleback mid lane will do okay against Tiny Wisp.
You just turn your back and kind of run away when they initiate on you. It can be fine, and Bristleback just running at you with Ion Shell on him as well can be somewhat scary for sure. But Fiskestanga, I think they have a pretty solid just opening to the draft, and now they themselves of course need an offlaner, so I myself was thinking about like possibly a Clockwork. The Cogs will be an excellent way just zoning out or keeping in the Darkseer, or whoever just else, they can't be just surged to run away, because otherwise Fiskestanga, they do lack lockdown quite a bit here. I mean, they have the Tether Slow if it connects, the Poison Touch as well, and well, the Avalanche I suppose is the only stun, but those slows don't mean a thing if Darkseer is just going around surging people.
This surge is going to be pretty difficult for Fiskestanga to really control. And yeah, you mentioned they don't have the disables. I'm expecting them to just add a couple of heroes with disables as their final two picks, and they are going to be core heroes. Broodmother, not one of them, but
against Darkseer as well.
And Bristleback. I find it's very questionable for Fiskestanga. And Earthshaker, yes. But the game plan, though, it looks like for me for Fiskestanga. Now, typically when you run a Broodmother, one of two scenarios should happen. You create space for your Broodmother with your 4 other heroes, or your Broodmother creates space for the rest of your team. We're not sure what's going to actually happen if Horde is actually going to put emphasis onto shutting down the Brood or the Tiny, because if you look at the situation for Horde at the moment, they've got plenty of ways to deal with the Broodmother. So essentially, she's going to be a non-factor. So Fiskestanga, what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to force Horde into constant fights, make space for Brood so she can get items, so that she actually becomes a threat. Because a Brood with no items, she's food. And she can't provide anything for your team.
Yeah, I think that's like probably why lots of teams these days, when playing a Broodmother, like build a Midas on him as well, like just in case. Or of course, if you can get it early enough, it's always gonna be nice for you. But last bans now, Fiskestanga have banned out a Puck. Puck of course would have been, we already talked about him as well anyway, but the synergy would have been there with like Vacuum into Dreamcoin and whatnot. But Horde themselves banning out the Wind Ranger, so how do they expect just Fiskestanga to lane this? I mean, did they expect the Wind Ranger to be like solo safe lane with Dazzle Broodmother off lane from them and IO Tiny mid? It's somewhat hard to just predict.
It's going to be hard for Fiskestanga to lane this regardless, because there's always going to be a Darkseer and a Bristleback in 2 of the potential 3 lanes, and obviously you don't want a Broodmother going up against a Darkseer or a Bristleback. So what it seems to me is they're going to try and lane that Brood up against a Weaver, a much easier time for Brood, whereas the Tiny Wisp, they're going to have to deal with one of the 2 powerhouses. Probably going to be that Bristleback in the mid lane. They might just put the Darkseer up against the Brood if possible. It really depends on how the lanes will end up going. Fiskestanga, they need one more hero, and they're actually going to go for an Invoker. Crosswax Invoker?
I would think so. I mean, Darkseer does need quite a bit of mana, to be honest. At least if you want to also use that wall, it's a rather high mana cost, although it got nerfed a little bit, or well, I suppose you could say it got buffed, but the mana cost got reduced. But it's not by much. I think it was like 25 mana or something like that. But Invoker, it can work out, but if you go for Crosswax, for example, this game, you're gonna have to just land all the setup yourself. You're gonna have to hit the tornado for the avalanche, not the avalanche, for the EMP to follow up. Of course, the same kind of applies for if you go Exort. If you go Exort, getting Sunstrike may not be as easy. Well, Avalanche Toss maybe, but other than that, they just really lack lockdown, especially up against the Weaver here.
The setup, there's just no setup for Fiskestanga unless they have the Invoker go for Crosswax. You could use the tiniest setup, but the Avalanche is a very long cooldown, so yes, you're going to secure 1 kill, but you have to wait 17 seconds for the next potential setup for that tiny, so I'm actually expecting a Crosswax Invoker. And also, if you take into consideration that Horde has a lot of mana-hungry heroes, landing an EMP could turn the fight in favor of Fiskestanga. So it's going to be up to Joey with this Invoker play as to whether or not it's going to be the Crosswax Invoker, or if he wants to go more battle hungry or battle ready with a Exort Invoker.
Yeah, so at the moment I know Fiskestanga, at least I'm almost positive that Invoker, or not Invoker rather, but Joey is usually the mid lane player for them. But since they do have the IO Tiny combination, I'm interested to see if it's still gonna be a mid lane Invoker or if it's gonna be IO Tiny going into the mid lane. But considering what you're facing, I mean, it's really some hard predicting from both sides to like how to lane this, how to match it up. Just because if you predict it correctly and you get lanes favoring yourself, you may even just force your enemy to rotate, and that just takes a lot of farming time, like XP loss from that, maybe having to buy TP scrolls and whatnot. So whoever gets this right may have just a pretty nice laning advantage.
So ideally for each side, what would you say would be the ideal lanes for Fiskestanga? Because in all honesty, we take a look at their heroes and essentially a lot of the lanes are going to be losses.
To be honest, I may even favor something from Horde, like really do send it Bristleback into the mid lane, with possibly, let's say, a Darkseer Witch Doctor lane somewhere, trying to face up against the Broodmother and the Earthshaker Weaver on another lane. Something along those lines, but we'll see. So far, it's going to be Bristleback running towards the safe lane, but to introduce the lineups as well, for Horde Gaming, KMKZ Kamikaze, I don't know, on the Bristleback, leaving Pika on the Earthshaker with Ribo on the Witch Doctor, Deadmau5 playing the Darkseer, and the last one is going to be Judah on the Weaver.
On the dire side, we have Fiskestanga. Joey, as we mentioned, going to be handling our Invoker. We've got Miggy on the Dazzle. Down towards the Roche Pit, we've got our Wisp. Oh god, how do we pronounce this? Ingmorda on the IO. We got L on the Tiny. And lastly, we have one more hero left, and that is our Broodmother. It's going to be played by Jolum.
Okay, so LL on the Tiny stands for Loki Loke.
Oh, Loki Loke.
Loki Loke.
Okay.
Yes. And the IO is Ingmundur.
Ingmundur. Okay.
It's, if you've seen like Lord of the Rings or something, it sounds like something from there, but it's a Scandinavian name, or Icelandic, I suppose is the most correct one. But in any case, we're having Bristleback getting chased a little bit by the Tiny, but only being level 1 you can choose whether to go for the Toss or Avalanche, but one or the other isn't enough by itself anyway. So they just secured themselves a bounty rune, one for, yep, Yayo, so fast bottle for him as always, pretty much. I mean, I can't even remember when the last time was when I didn't see an IO in a game not pick out the bounty rune.
I actually casted one yesterday, I believe. The Wisp was going to grab the Bounty Rune, instead he just got hounded by the enemy team and he gave away First Blood, plus no Bounty Rune, so that was the first Wisp I've never seen with that Bounty Rune.
I mean,
It was a sad
every
Wisp.
now and then you see them like actually buying support items to begin with as well, but it's really a rare chance. I suppose it more depends on like your lanes as well. If you're going into the mid lane IO tiny combination, you definitely want to have the bottle as early as possible, but if you're running like a defensive tri lane with just the IO being there like somewhat randomly, you can go for those support items early on. But it's just so popular to run that dual mid lane. It is really hard to deal with that, but if you're Horde at the moment, you have just the Earthshaker hanging around the mid lane. You have the Bristleback who should be able to tank the Avalanche toss combination with not too much trouble early on. Especially if you like get the bottle as well, you can always stay at full health beforehand. How effective will this IO Tiny dual lane even be here?
It's gonna depend on whether they want to be aggressive against the Bristleback, and it's gonna be very difficult just because they have the Earthshaker sitting on the high ground. He's probably only gonna be here for the first couple of levels until Kamikaze stabilizes and grabs those extra levels and puts points into Bristleback. And then at that point, Stanga's just gonna have to say, okay, we probably can't kill the Bristleback anymore, and there is a very high chance that he can kill the Wisp just because of the quills. So in that situation, Stanga, they'll have to just play farming in the mid lane once the Bristleback reaches that point. But because it's still early, there is a chance they can try and dive onto Kamikaze.
Yeah, I'm afraid though that they're going to need at least level 2 into both Avalanche and Toss for that, and at least 1 point for the IO Spirits as well there. Just because I have seen quite often even this combination just barely miss a kill due to the Wisp not having Spirits at level 2, for example. Quite often they tend to go for the Tether and the Overcharge combination early, but we'll see if they can make anything happen on the Bristleback. Of course, Bristleback being level 1, it may be the best time, but it's almost certain that Bristleback is going to hit level 2 before IO and the Tiny.
Yeah, just having the level advantage, especially up against the Tiny Wisp, and also being a Bristleback is the best situation you could ask for. So I'm actually expecting the Earthshaker to just go for some jungle pulls eventually, because keep in mind, a Bristleback can farm the jungle just from stacking quill sprays. So typically we don't see Bristleback in the mid lane, but he can function there if necessary. We've got some people just typing hello to each other on the map though.
That's always nice, I mean, they're friendly.
It's friendly, yeah. Very friendly.
If only
Wish
you
my
could
pubs were like that.
see the enemy's minimap drawings. That would be pretty fun. Let's go gank that way. They're coming, guys. They're coming. Let's back off. I mean, how
So the
often?
remaining lanes.
How often do you see teams even draw on the minimap when they're like smoking up?
When they smoke up, I actually see it quite frequently, but it's normally just the line of doom saying go this way, grab a kill, and normally there's no hero there. So it's not doom for the enemy being ganked, it's doom for the ganking team because the smoke has been wasted.
I mean,
That's what happens anyway.
I think mostly when I saw drawings on the map, it's first of all either a really long pause. That's like the main reason for drawings on the minimap, or
Oh,
usually it's the so-called defensive team against the enemy smoke, or all in all the team that is maybe on the back foot or something. They usually like throw areas where they think the enemy is trying to gank them or something. So I think it's mostly used maybe even defensively rather than aggressively. It's like, oh, they're around like this area.
oh god, we got some salt coming in. Here it comes.
I haven't even
goodness.
seen them new emoticons or whatever things.
They're pretty sweet. You should take a look at them eventually, but they are very, very interesting. I love how Valve has taken a step towards the Twitch chat direction. They haven't copied the emoticons,
So,
but
so,
they're...
so you're
but
a
they
Twitch
work.
chat fan.
I don't actually chat myself, I just read Twitch chat. PJ Salt. I think that's the main one. There's no Kappa though, but there's no such thing as Kappa in the client, I guess.
Well, soon there must be. Oh, look at the Zeus. Is
Oh
it
god, that's
Merlini?
Merlini!
Yeah.
That's Merlini!
Oh man, that's pretty wicked.
That's awesome. Oh wow. Do I have that? No. Where'd that emoticon pack come from?
Maybe higher levels into the compendium, possibly? I'm not too sure. I
Probably.
haven't even checked it out because I purchased from the start the level 50 compendium and I haven't done a single thing with it.
Yeah. Yep. So we're just waiting for both sides at the moment. We're just even admins asking for updates and no one's really said anything. Okay, so we're still waiting for Horde. Did they say who was actually paused?
He will come, probably.
Probably. I love he added probably.
Oh man. Okay, so 2 to 3 minutes is their estimate for this at least. So it's good to know that the first game of the best of 3 is going fast and everything. I want more like signature player hero combination emoticons now that I saw Merlini Zeus.
That was pretty sweet. I really liked that.
Yeah, it was a
Any
really,
questions
really nice
about-
touch.
It was very nice, yeah.
So, which one like comes to mind for you? Which one would you like to see?
What heroes?
Yeah, hero
emoticon?
player combination emoticon.
The Big Daddy no tail wisp, please.
Yeah, but I thought about it as well, but how does it turn into a wisp? I mean, does it start with his face and then disappears?
No. I think what's gonna happen is like you start off with the wisp icon and then you just gradually see Big Daddy's no tail's face. I don't know how they'll do it. Maybe
I think the other way around would be pretty fun.
Oh, he
I
could
mean,
relocate. He could relocate his face. Okay, that's stupid. Oh man. I'm gonna stop now.
I mean, it would be pretty fun to
maybe
have some like icon or emoticon, whatever thing, which would really like it starts with like anything and then it disappears, so
What about the
it leaves
S4
empty lines.
We could do an S4 puck phase shift, puck body S4 head. No. Oh my god, that's so wrong.
When I picture it in my head, when just the body face part, it's like interesting. Okay,
Here we go.
I'm gonna share one extra piece of not advice, but information that every human is part centaur or half centaur.
Why half?
Every human is half centaur.
Where's my hooves?
I don't know. Would you like to
I have a
hooves?
tail. I would love to have hooves.
But you can't be a ninja then. You can't sneak around at all because it's just everybody's gonna hear you coming.
But I want my presence known. That's where they hear the clippity clops.
Oh, you're an attention.
Yes.
Now we know. But back to
Yeah,
Dota we go. In the top lane, we do get some action onto Joey, possibly Invoker taking a lot of damage to the... I think he's gonna get the kill as well. Never mind, turns around onto Miggy instead, and Miggy doesn't have a heal. But with him turning onto Dazzle, they get neither kill, although I'm not too sure if they had gotten it regardless, but... This top lane will be somewhat tough until Dazzle really gets like the heal and maybe the Shallow Grave on top of that. And bottom lane, well, so far Cholem is doing well enough. But as Darkseid gets more levels, probably gonna start getting more annoying with the Diamond Shell.
Yeah, he will be very annoying. I like what Jolem is doing though. Every time he spawns the spiderlings, he just pulls them back and then waits for Deadmau5 to actually get out of range up top. They're just gonna try and dive after somebody, but no. Maledict just popped, but unfortunately, no one did end up dying in the process. They even brought the Earthshaker up there as well. No fissure landed though. Oh, he actually is gonna bump head to head with the Wisp though. Now we'll see who's gonna manage to get the rune. It's a haste rune as well. Oh, Beaker. That's gonna be... Oh, denied! Denied! Right in front of his face. Beaker just gonna be like, damn it. Why didn't I fissure?
Yeah, I think when he actually came to the top lane to begin with, after the Maledict had been used on Invoker, I think he would have been able to even hit with the fissure through the trees there, but he wanted to get a little bit too close there. Maybe he was worried about his mana pool or something. Then again, he has free clarity, so at least could have tried to throw it out, I think. But bottom lane, it's just, you can see the lane now getting pushed in as well, although Lancet Voice Broodmother is still even. Even some of them may be spiderlings as well, so I suppose you could say Darkseer has less possible. Oh, top lane though, Miggy might be in a hell of a lot of trouble. Has the heal, but won't even be able to use it. There's the first one, Joe. He also gets blocked in. Oh man, he gets to eat the tree, but he might still go down. Another Shokuchi. 1, 2 more attacks, shoot, and he's gonna give up. Man, Weaver, please, get some balls.
That was very interesting though. He didn't want to commit for the kill, and I think he had Geminate attack up as well, so he should have been able to secure that, but just playing safe. I kind of like what Jita's doing. He didn't commit to the kill because there was also a chance he could have died if Joey decided to turn and possibly throw a cold snap at him right after he comes out to attempt to kill him. So even though Joey is still alive, at least the Weaver is still alive.
Yeah, I mean, he's farming reasonably well at the moment also. Looking at the mid lane though, as kind of expected, Bristleback not struggling all that much here, 17 and 5 even. Is level 5 compared to the Tiny's level 3, soon to hit 4, but... Oh, bottom lane, we might see some action on Deadmau5. There's a nice shallow grave, nope, shadow wave, not shallow grave, but Deadmau5 is gonna be just tanky enough to escape anyway, and Broodmother also just took some pretty heavy damage there. Does have a healing cell though, so should be fine for now. But it is actually pretty painful. If the shadow wave would be like level 2, 3, it would do a massive burst just being surrounded by all those spiderlings.
Deadmau5 has to be so careful. Miggy's on the low ground. He's only got 1 point to poison touch though. So if Deadmau5 hangs around for too long, there is a chance he could die to the damage over time. But aside from that, very low kill potential in that top lane, as long as Deadmau5 plays safely. He has a sentry ward as well in the lane, so he can actually see the rotations from John. He can tell if he wants to play aggressive.
Yeah, the sentry did go down as well, but Deadmau5 might be in trouble. There's the slow, but the surge is there, and it just goes through the spiderlings so easily. And, well, another escape. In the meantime, Bristleback had an invis run. I think he went to scout out the stack situation, just because IO Tiny definitely want to just boost up their farm XP as well with those jungle stacks later on. But more healers coming into the mid lane. With the Earthseeker arriving, I think Ingmundur, maybe even both of them might die here depending on the Fissure.
This is going to be a big kill if Horde can grab it. So there's going to be the casket. It's only going to bounce between them once though. So there's going to be the turn. They want to try and go for the Bristleback kill. Going to toss him to the Wisp. Now, the Fissure's going to be there to pretty much disconnect both teams from the engagement, but Kamikaze being chased up by the Tiny and the Wisp. Going to go into the high ground. He's just going to keep on bottling up. The Wisp balls have run out, and actually, this is where it might be a bit tricky for the Tiny Wisp. They're going to start stacking up Quill Sprays, although Wisp might go down. No, he's going to go down instead. So, unfortunate there. Oh, actually, Ingmunder not going to be blocked out there, although, unfortunately for him, fortunately for him, he's still alive, and, well, one support goes down, and meanwhile, down bottom, we lost a Darkseer.
Yeah, they might lose Earthshaker as well. Miggy giving chase, Poison Touch is there to slow him down a little bit, and Pika tries to go deny himself. Nice timing, almost. Poison Touch still kicked him down in the end. I really thought he's gonna get himself denied in all honesty, but the Poison Touch, even being level 1, still provided enough damage, and... Oh, not Avalanche. Why do I want to say Avalanche to the Tornado, but EMP? Wow, okay, 1 point into X, I was like, EMP! No, it did absolutely nothing.
That was a disaster there for Horde. They were supposed to grab a kill on either the Tiny or the Wisp. They got neither, and they lose a lot of heroes in the process. They lost 2 in the mid lane, or they lost 2 in the mid lane, 1 in the jungle when they were retreating, and they lost another hero down the bottom lane. So an absolute disaster for the Radiant side. They need to grab these kills. They can't afford to actually give these kills away. Because keep in mind, a Tiny Wisp combination, if they can get farm early, they come online very quickly and they hit hard. And you look at Horde's draft, they don't really have anyone aside from the Weaver to really counteract that sort of damage. But Weaver, in terms of farming potential, very low.
Oh, Deadmau5 in some trouble once more, but this time around I think he's gonna be able to survive. Does have a pretty decent just base health pool as well, of course. The Buckler helping out, but now Miggy, can he get the kill? Surge still on cooldown, and the Vacuum level 1 not gonna be enough to save him. He does get some pretty nice counter damage in once again on the Darkseer, but doesn't really help you all that much. And Dazzle, he picked up a hell of a lot of gold from that one as well. Just the new changes as opposed to the gold gains, because I already got pretty used to like people getting like 170, 190 gold or something like that, but Dazzle getting some pretty just sweet loot from killing the Darkseer like that.
So bottom lane has pretty much been won by Stanga, so Brood at least is getting a little bit of space. He's got to be careful though, Jolem is pretty low. Oh, he gets picked off by a Fissure. That stings.
It's
So,
only level 2 Fissure as well, so he was really extremely low on health there.
a
But
bit greedy.
does he have anything purchased up? Yeah, it's the Hand of Midas recipe that was there for him anyway, so he can just pick it up now when he's coming back to lane, and from the side shop just pick up those Gloves of Haste. And get himself the Midas. Not the fastest one, but should be there like 9.5 minutes in, something like that.
Surprisingly enough, if you take a look at CS, we've got 3 heroes leading on the Radiant side, and considering you look at the score, it's actually looking pretty good for Horde, whereas for Stanga, they're managing to stabilize with kills, but they're not actually getting that far ahead of Horde. So the game is still equalized, and Horde, if you take a look at the draft pretty early, Horde is looking a lot stronger than Stanga at this point. Stanga, they just have to keep on farming, keep on making space, get their Aghanims on the Tiny and start coming online with their Brood. Just make a lot of space, force Horde away from the Tiny Wisp to give them time to farm, and then at that point they can just be annoying together. So you can have a Tiny Wisp on one side of the map, Brood on the other side of the map, and Horde. If they split up, they're actually vulnerable to getting picked off.
Of course, I think Stanga, they're gonna have to use the Brood Mother as well as they can. Deadmau5 though comes back once more. He's gonna get blocked in completely. Does get the Surge in the end and escapes. But he's dropping so low and might still get chased down. Jolem does get the Spiderlings. And well, now there's the kill. Miggy, of course, he's the one to get it to his name once more. But the Spawn Spiderlings maxed out, doing quite a bit of damage, and they may even get another kill. Or can they? Does he have webs? He does. Another web comes out. They need to get the slows, but there is no passive yet for the Brood Mother. So only needs like small Spiderlings for those slows. Although KMKC, Kamikaze coming in there. If only there was an Echo Slam, there would be such an easy kill. But he gets the kill regardless, and now with his invis should be able to outrun everybody else.
Oh, Mickey, can he actually TP out in time? Looks like he won't. We still have Jolem in the bottom lane though, but that was terrifying for Horde. They probably have arachnophobia at this point just because of how annoying and painful Jolem has been. I can't help but feel like Horde is underestimating the amount of damage this Brood Mother can output by herself.
Yeah, of course, I think Stanga themselves maybe underestimated or overestimated the damage she can put out with chasing the Earthshaker like that. I really would have liked to see them just go for the safe tower, just because Earthshaker was rather far away to begin with. But it's still fine. They got the tower, didn't get denied by the Bristleback, although it came close to it. So that's just a lot of gold. Brood Mother, he only like a minute and a half ago got that Hand of Midas now. He had 1k extra, picks up a Staff of Wizardry. So it's gonna be that just pushing style of Necrobook Brood Mother. Mid lane though, in Miss Tiny's there, Avalanche comes out, but Bristleback gets to turn his back. Tosto into his face, but he will survive because the Avalanche did land into his back after all.
Oh, Deadmau5, he actually wanted to surge in and try and fight, but at that point, Tiny Wisp, they already backed off. So no chance for Horde to re-engage if they really wanted to. Oh man, this laning phase, it's been pretty shaky for Horde. They've been under siege by Fiskestanga, and it's been super annoying for them. Well, they've got one good thing happening for them though. It's pretty much going to be this Weaver up in the top lane. Judah, he's been uncontested in farm. He has come to help with some ganks. But he is very slippery, and he is very difficult for Stanga to actually lock down unless they commit the Tiny Wisp to trying to lock him down. Because it's a Weaver, he can go invis. Yes, you can have detection, but he can always pop the time lapse, regain the HP. If it's dusted, dust is taken away. They will throw the EMP and Tornado as well as Cold Snap combo. Judah doesn't actually have enough mana. He pops his stick charges. He's going to try and go and re-engage. He's just going to go for one hit, and he's going to back up at that point. So safe play from our Weaver. Unfortunate for Stanga to not get the kill. Mid lane though, looks like it's a bit of trouble for Rebo, our Witch Doctor. He will throw the cask and the Maledict, and actually, this is going to be troublesome for the Tiny Wisp. There is going to be a toss, but it's only a creep, and actually Wisp is going to be the first one to go down. And Kamikaze, he wants more. He wants this Tiny, and well, unfortunately Tiny going to be stuck in place by a Fissure and smacked in the face by an angry Bristleback. Two very important kills there for Horde.
They just got wrecked. Way too aggressive with the rollout. Cholem might be able to claim a tier 2 for their troubles there. Yeah, does get the last hit. Deadmau5 unable to get it either, although gets a huge amount of Spiderlings just with the Ion Shell there, of course. Now, he pops the dust. He wants to keep on chasing. There's the Fissure as well on the wrong side, though, unfortunately, but the vacuum gets him onto the right side. And Cholem, is he gonna be fast enough? Surge in 3 seconds. Wall comes out, gets the slow on Cholem. They get another dust, and it should be the end of Broodmother, I think, unless he can get into the trees. You're kidding me, right? Yeah, they had vision, so he can't run through the trees at the moment, but he's still alive
actually stuck
somehow.
because of the illusion.
They don't have a dust anymore.
Oh,
Just
no!
Iron Shell illusion. No
no
mana.
mana.
Oh man.
Oh,
And now it's Pika gonna go down. Okay.
oh man.
That's survival there. Of course the wall is still up, but Cholem not gonna run through it. Ingmundur, plenty of just regeneration with a full bottle as well as the urn. So they get some gold, but to be honest, Horde just getting a couple of counter kills, especially slowing down Yayo Tiny, although they might get the kill again. Paralyzing cast to slow the Tiny down. More slows coming out with minus armor, therefore doing a huge amount of damage, but Tiny with an avalanche might have bought just enough time. Or did he? Yeah, Tornado misses. Rebo, although Cold Snap is there, with Spirits to hit as well. A few more attacks, it will be a kill. Joey picks that one up, they may be able to claim tier 1 also. Or will they? Kamikaze still keeps on chasing, but Tiny gonna get some help. Back now, and relocated, just in case. But Cholem, of course, all the meantime pushing bottom lane, and never mind, didn't go for the Necrobot. Gonna be a Dagon Broodmother.
I've actually seen this a lot of Broodmothers opting to go for Dagon, so if Horde wants to try and go for a kill on the Brood, there's a chance they're going to lose a hero in the process. I actually wanted to make a quick mention, in the river, when we had Kamikaze chasing after the Tiny actually tossed the Bristleback towards the Dazzle incoming, but Jolem down bottom, Echo Slam with the Spiderlings, just going to end his life unfortunately, so Brood getting a little overconfident in that bottom lane. But yeah, as I mentioned, Tiny tossed the Bristleback to the Dazzle, who was a couple of meters away, just to buy him some time to get away. Very smart plays from Stanga. They understand how the Tiny functions. I love how they're using the toss this game.
It's crazy how much gold Horde got from killing off the Broodmother. They got like a little bit more than 1000 gold from just killing a single hero who didn't even have a massive spree or anything. Man, those changes once again, it feels like the rubber band. It's gonna be real like that, but Broodmother is pretty damn farmed. Tiny is as well, but I'm still a little bit worried about Stanga's like sustained damage for now. Just because they throw out their spells, and after that, Tiny, although you can do quite a bit of damage with just right clicking, it isn't all that massive yet. Especially since you don't have the Aghanim Spinach, you're not going to be cleaving or anything. So there's going to be a pretty tanky Bristleback. Weaver, with the lack of lockdown the Stanga has, might be able to just easily time-lapse most of the damage away. Darkshire is there with the mech to help out, although Ingmundur, can he tether himself to the high ground? He can, but oh, vacuum mid-tether! That's going to be a dead Io, or is it? Nope, Tornado comes out, Avalanche is there to slow down Earthshaker, and Io just relocated out Joey, forced up to the low ground. Oh, what a mistake to make! Can't even get Pika down. One more attack with the Cold Snap. 7 HP on Earthshaker, and Joey will go down, or will he? They need to kill off the Swarm or him to be able to TP. He TP's home, will survive the Swarm somehow. Although Miggy gonna get chased down by Chuda now. No more Shallow Grave. And in the sidelines, Paralyzing Cast bouncing through the toss onto Ingmundur. He just tossed him into into the enemies mostly, but the Fisher kind of screwed over themselves. But 2 kills for Horde regardless. And Stanga, it was a really awkward engagement from them, just awkward angles from the start. But Invoker force-staffing himself so aggressively to the low ground. It did go unpunished in the end, but just thanks to nice Dazzle plays.
Yeah, down bottom though, we have the Broodmother kind of feeding away some Spiderlings to Kamikaze, which a bit questionable, but he has a lot of Spiderlings to control, so Jolem just gonna have to move into the mid lane and start putting some hurt into, oh god, the Witch Doctor just for starters. There's a Fisher there just to keep Jolem on that side of the tree line. Actually, do they want to really try and jump onto Deadmau5? He's probably not going to be an easy target. Mika going to be there, and Kamikaze, he's in the front lines, he's surged up, and he's going to chase after this Tiny, and where's the Wisp? He's actually nowhere nearby, so that's going to be the death of the Tiny. Very unfortunate there for Stanga. They should have actually had the Wisp with them at all times. He will come in, there's the tether, and they're going to try and get Joey out. Now Joey, actually Kamikaze, he wants the Wisp instead. Ingmundur, is this actually a misplay? There's the EMP to drive away the Bristleback, and he's going to back up. Where's the rest of his team? Broodmother going to try and jump onto Earthshaker, but he gets Echo Slammed, and Jolem, that might be a bit of a mistake. He does get healed up. They lose the Earthshaker in the process, and Stanga still fighting strong. They're going to have the Grave on the Dazzle. They're going to lose the Wisp instead, though. A bit of a misplay coming out from the Dazzle. The Wisp is probably the bigger priority, but Joey, he wants Deadmau5. Now, oh god, look at all the heroes that are dropping down by both sides. They have 2 Radiant heroes, cannot chase after Joey because he is under the cover of invisibility. That was messy. That was very messy.
Oh man, it's... one thing I can't say, because I'd be lying if I did this, that the teams are playing perfectly. It's It's not so. I mean, both teams, they're overextending. At least a couple of heroes of them are, and now they might get the kill on Rebo though. Just an avalanche. Toss, no, avalanche still on cooldown, but with the toss, with him being blocked in into DMP, they will get the kill anyway. But if just either side would like go in as actual 5 while having a advantage, I mean, they got the kill on the Tiny. They could have just gone as 5, but the Bristleback went so deep, chasing 2 heroes like that, then a third one TP'd in. He did survive for a crazy long time because, well, Stanga, they really lacked the damage to deal with the Bristleback. With him having a Vanguard as well, I mean, even if you Avalanche toss him, he's still gonna have like at least maybe 1,000 health left afterwards.
Kamikaze is so tanky. God, Stanga, their only source of damage to really kill him off is going to be the Tiny. So I'm hoping they actually take a little bit of downtime, farm up that Assault Cuirass on the Tiny, and then at that point, Bristleback, he won't be a non-factor, he will be less of a factor, just because the Tiny can fight him one-on-one and at least have a chance at killing him off. One thing they're going to have to do though, they really need to protect Ingmunda on that Wisp, because he's the one giving them all the sustain. Oh god, Joey. Joey, are you going to go down? He's going to go TP. Actually, he's going to cancel in the end. I don't know if that was a misplay. Probably would have been cancelled by the Enchant Totem anyway, but they lose their Invoker. Interesting positioning there from our Invoker.
Interesting is the correct word. Questionable is also a word that could be described, or could be used to describe the situation. But so, in the end, 19 minutes in, we're looking at the kill score of 12 to 14. Stanga to have a bit of a lead in kills. Looking at the graphs though, 3k in net worth, and XP is in fact in favor of Horde. Only by about like 600 or so, but a lead nonetheless. But Loki Loke does have himself the Aghanim Scepter and the Tiny now. So expect the farm to just keep on speeding up. And of course, Cholem still farms extremely fast himself. Keeps on just being a nuisance on the bottom lane for the most part, using that Hand of Midas, and with that, does have a level 3 Dagon. So once he gets it maxed out, the cooldown as low as it can be, as well as the just max range and damage for it, it can be rather massive. But oh, we have a relocate just to backdoor a tier 1 tower. And although the glyph is used, it's going to be still a success. Although, can they maybe kill off Io before they just get themselves back? Avalanche does miss, I think. So Earthshaker survives, Echo Slam was used, but of course, they relocate it back. Oh,
John
Courier!
killing the Witch Doctor. Oh no! Oh,
Damn
that was
spiders.
unfortunate.
Although, never mind. If Bristleback had farmed up all of those spiders, it would have been like almost the same amount of gold. Although, well, I guess it doesn't come that close, but it would have been somewhat worth it. Or at least a better trade. But Stanga, they got the tower, the Witch Doctor died, and they just killed the Courier.
I'm surprised Horde isn't actually putting too much emphasis on the Broodmother, because remember there have been changes to the game where killing the hero with the highest net worth is going to yield you the most gold. So streak or no streak, killing Jolem would be a high priority target for Horde, because it's just a Brood. The Brood doesn't really do anything by herself, so you have, if you can bring 3 heroes to try and kill the Brood, it might even force the Tiny Wisp in. So Bristleback, he's going to be caught out by Joey, and Jolem's going to be there as well. Dagon's actually still on cooldown, but the rest of the Radiant side, they're going to be there. Do they have detection for Jolem? They do pop the dust, and that's going to be the Brood down. Massive amounts of gold going to Horde, and all of a sudden Joey in a bit of a weird position. He can pop the Ghost Walk eventually, but he's very fast anyway. So it looks like it might be okay. Bika though, he's actually surged up, and he is a very fast Earthshaker. Fissure is at the ready. Oh, Broodmother, they're going to take the Witch Doctor down in the backlines. There's a Fissure for Joey though, and he's pretty much blocked in. Is there a way to cancel TP? There's the vacuum to keep him in place, and they do get the Invoker. I did not see where the Witch Doctor died. Oh, in the base. Was that from Spiderlings?
Yes. The Spiderlings chased him down, but now we have a couple of pretty key pickups. Desolator for the Weaver, so his damage output will be rather massive with this, and not only his damage output, he with the minus armor is also going to increase the Bristleback's output by quite a bit, of course. And we have a Blink Dagger on the Darkseer with a maxed out vacuum, level 2 wall as well. I have to say, although Stanga they're still a little bit ahead in net worth, it's rather scary what Horde have gotten themselves. They're just tanking up, getting the items they need for damage as well. And Stanga, although they have a Dazzle, they're not all that durable quite yet, but as we look at Loki Loke, he's about to hit level 12, get some extra armor from just the Craggy himself. Has the Hyperstone as well, so AC isn't all that far unless he wants to go for a Mjolnir, although I doubt it. I mean, AC will be just an excellent choice this game for the bonus armor it provides to the entire team.
Well, AC is good every game on your Tiny. It's the bread and butter on your Tiny, so just pretty much expect him to pick him up. pick up the AC eventually. And if you think about it, look at all the heroes on Horde. If they're going to actually have that negative armor aura from the AC popped on them, they're going to melt to any sort of right click on the side of Stanga because they're mostly squishy heroes. The only exception is that Bristleback, but he is a high HP, low armor hero. So he's actually going to melt as well. Obviously Bristleback, bit of an exception because of the spell, but nonetheless, these heroes are going to take a lot of damage. They just don't have any sort of damage nullification aside from that mech, but mech is tiny.
Oh, Earthshaker gonna get Avalanche. Probably Avalanche still on cooldown though. Tiny doesn't get it, and Tether still on cooldown for a little bit. 3 more seconds, and I think Earthshaker, he's gonna be clear. They relocated to try to kill off the Darkseer, which, well, dropped pretty low to begin with from the Broodmother, of course. But then just surged away, blinked out to the right direction, and that was a failed relocate. And now it's so much easier for Horde to go aggressive, knowing that the relocate is on cooldown.
It is. It absolutely is for Horde. So this is going to be an opening. They're going to bring TPs into the top lane, and how they're going to actually go for this Avalanche, going to keep Kamikaze in place. And unfortunately for Horde, no way to actually reach the Tiny Wisp. There is actually one disadvantage. Oh god, Witch Doctor are going to die to Spiderlings, or Spiders again. Although there is going to be a lot of heroes going to try and chase after Jolum. Now Jolum, lots of Spiderlings, and the hero is worth a lot. If they can actually kill this Broodmother, there'll be a massive pickup for Horde. Jolum very fast in the web. There's the blink forward by Mouse, and looks like they should get the Spider. There's the Fissure to keep him in place. Big pickups for our Radiant side. So Stanga getting a little bit sloppy, especially in the bottom lane.
Yeah, mid lane they might lose Joey as well, does get the 4-step, but Ghost Wall, will it be enough? Well, with the gem being there for Deadmau5, I don't think so, although the extra movement speed is definitely nice for it. But yeah, just vacuum back. There's the Fissure, although Loki comes in with a toss, but was that a mistake? Relocate was used, but I think he wanted to relocate out the Invoker, but well, Craggy Exterior helps out a little bit. Relocate is gonna get them back to, well, to the wall that's waiting. The Echo Slam is there as well, it's only Ingmundur though. Cancelled the tether before, and Miggy forced to pop his Shallow Grave really fast, but Bristleback just way too tanky. Tiny doesn't do anything, as he has picked up a Moon Shard of all items. Screw AC, I don't need it, or well, he probably would need it, but not gonna be able to get it anyway. 4 heroes down, only 1 to survive. It's turning out to be a bit of a disaster for Stanga.
A Moon Shard? Of all the items he could have picked up, Moon Shard. This is a very questionable pickup because he already gets decent attack speed from the Wisp. Having an Assault Cuirass would be more cost efficient for your Tiny. So I don't really understand the mindset behind picking up a Moon Shard. This is an item that you pick up last. Yeah.
A throw mindset. Oh, Tornado EMP, but it's gonna, well, drain the mana of Deadmau5 as well as Earthshaker. Earthshaker does have 1 Fissure in him with the Soul Ring helping out. But Joey wants to come in as Miggy, but oh, nice Deafening Blast. They're just delaying. Oh, Dagon spawn Spiderlings. They take care of 1. Relocate gonna come in as well. They may even be able to clean up Revo in quite a bit of trouble if he just keeps on going. Nice Avalanche lands on 2. They don't have anywhere to run. Bristleback so low. Aegis picked up on Judah. Well, they got that at least, and I think he's gonna be able to even outrun the opposition. But Stanga, they did turn it around quite nicely. Dagon, not enough once more. Weaver escapes with what? 100 health?
Oh, Sunstrike! Oh, the toss!
They have an Avalanche to follow. They might get the kill once again, even.
Does he have... Oh, he doesn't have time lapse, so if he dies this... Or if he actually gets caught, this is going to be troublesome. Can they actually get this, the Weaver? No. Looks like he's going to get out. Stanga. That toss. I love how they're being so proactive with their Tiny. I see a lot of teams where they play the Tiny, they kind of forget that you can use the toss as a way to catch up to the enemy. Oh god, Deadmau5. You probably are going to be a Deadmau5, and he is actually going to try and surge. Will he get out of there? Avalanche will be there to keep him in place. Do they have anything? 4-star going to try and get the Tiny onto his tail, but that's not going to happen. Oh, there's the Fissure actually disconnecting Stanga from each other. So Joey, he's not by himself. Echo Step between the 2 supports. So that's going to be Dazzle and the Wisp dead. And actually, can Tiny get out without a cancel? Yes, he will. But, oh god, overextension after overextension much?
Yeah, Joey missing a couple of spells there as well in a row. First of all, the Defending Blast that he tried to scout or snipe out the Weaver with. And then he expected Darkseer to just run himself into a corner, but Darkseer just, of course, he knew that if he went into that corner of those trees, he'd just be dead straight out. But now Horde, they get a couple of just retaliation kills once again, and that just means that Judah, he's up to 4,000 gold, and that's gonna be a BKB on the Weaver. And that should, at least for the most part, like ensure you a 10-second window in a fight where you can pretty much do whatever. I don't think the Tiny's physical damage is that threatening yet, or Tiny, I'm not even too sure if he's able to like keep on target that easily, at least not on a Weaver.
I don't actually think that Tiny has enough damage now because that he's picked up the Moon Shard. Yes, you are attacking fast, but you're still vulnerable. He's actually pretty squishy still for Tiny. Man.
Oh, Chola might be in trouble soon. They should know that the Broodmother is close by. They of course still have the gem on the darks here, but like everybody's tanking up. What the hell does Stanga do? I mean, yes, they have a Dagon level 5, all well and good. They're gonna have an E-Blade later on, but Cholem, well, him farming the E-Blade is gonna be somewhat troublesome. Tries to go for the counter kill at least, and gets close to it, but close doesn't really help you out enough there. So another kill for Horde. Once more, lots of gold just going their way. You just kill a Broodmother, which it goes really easily for them now that they have the gem. And they just get like another 1000 gold. It's like another tower down.
This is the problem when you run a Broodmother with a lot of farm. If they keep losing the Broodmother, that's a lot of gold going to the enemy. So for Horde, the Broodmother kills really benefiting them. Tiny Wisps, do they relocate down there?
Yeah, it's why? What was the plan? Was somebody trying to escape with low health or something? I don't know, but Tiny, he just keeps on running there. Ingmunder, Ghost Scepter TP out, the newest change. Oh, the Fisher! So close, but yet so far. But tier 1 is getting pushed in by just the creeps so far. So, as we're getting, well, not to the late stage of the game, but we're well on our way in the mid game and well, slowly but surely getting towards the later stages, I suppose still. If this goes like super late, do Stanga have a chance just because Tiny is such a massive powerhouse, or will just the rest of the lineup fall off too heavily?
So one thing to note is that Craggy exterior, it's a great passive, but if Judah just pops his BKB, Craggy doesn't exist. So essentially, if you look at the drafts, I would have to say Horde is the better late game draft.
Might be some trouble. Cold Snap is there. He's going to get blocked in by his friendly Fisher. Oh no, what a mistake to make. The toss did clean up some trees and relocate forward, but the Force Staff on Nerve Shaker, no, not the Force Staff, the Blink. Does get him to safety, but getting a Bristleback down is quite an achievement in its own. Oh man.
It is the highest, actually it's not the highest net worth hero in Horde unfortunately, but still it's a big kill. It's a core hero and down on the side of Horde. And it's also the frontliner as well, taking into consideration the fact that if they don't have that Bristleback in the front line, who's going to absorb the damage? You don't want to really put it on your Darkseer because it's gone for the Guardian Greaves build, which, it's interesting. It's going to give the team a lot of sustain, but he's not tanky. So you need the Bristleback in the front lines. This is probably going to force a buyback on the side of Horde, because this push from Stanga, it looks pretty real.
Yeah, it's probably them just trying to force that buyback. I do hope that once they get that buyback used, that they're gonna back out straight away. They know Earthshaker has a Blink Dagger now, so just getting Blink Echo Slam, like Blink Vacuum Echo Slam, even worse. And there's a level 3 wall now. Of course, if you're Stanga, you don't care about the wall as much because you don't have any stat-based carries. So that way it's gonna be fine.
Yeah, but Tiny.
Yeah, especially once he finishes the AC. That's when it gets scary, when he gets the AC as well, I suppose. Just get the aura from it.
Yeah, the Tinies are going to be pretty scary. But aside from that, if you look at every other hero on the side of Stanga, none of them actually do any sort of right-click damage. So if you get illusions from the supports, on Joey, on Jolem, it doesn't really matter. It's just going to be those tiny illusions eventually, especially when the Assault Cuirass aura comes out. But for the moment, it's not looking too bad for Stanga. The only problem is that during the next team fight, are they going to overextend again? Because there's a very high chance it may happen.
Yeah, so far I think they've done it every single time, right?
I think both teams have done it every single time the opportunity presents itself to them. So they love to be hyper aggressive. I love it. It's very interesting to watch. The only problem is that the teams suffer, not the viewers, the teams.
Yeah, it's so far hurt both of them for sure. But if we look at the item progression, I mean, network wise it's still somewhat similar. XP, a 1k difference favoring Horde. Net worth about 4,000 for Stanga, but 4,000 isn't all that much to be honest. Although I suppose with Horde having 2 blink daggers, depending on the situation, those blink daggers might be dead weight. Although just the initiation advantage, the threat of them should be enough to justify the cost of it, I think. But there's gonna be a Hex soon on Invoker. And the AC, unless it's gonna be like a second Moon Shard, so he's gonna use the first one, get the plus 60 movement attack speed, and purchase a secondary Moon Shard for massive attack speed. I don't know, although I strictly hope it's gonna be the AC, but once they get the Hex, once they get the AC as well, they're actually pretty solid in those fights. But who is the primary Hex target even for Stanga to just get out of the fight from?
I would actually say the Bristleback, because if you get rid of the Bristleback from the story, now keep in mind, if you can actually get the Hex before this push, if you can kill the Bristleback again, there's no buyback on him, and that's Horde's frontliner. So with the frontliner down, Horde, they have to play the kiting game, and they don't have anyone else to take any sort of damage, so they're going to lose heroes in the process. So if, in essence, I wouldn't normally say go for the tank, but in this circumstance, it is a very viable possibility. Glyph has been used and quite a bit of tower damage has been done. We've still got our Tiny whacking at it. Look how much damage it's doing, attacking very quickly. Wall's been deployed, but there's only one illusion, and look how slowly it's hitting. Oh god, Broodmother gonna kill off the poor Witch Doctor, and the Spiderling's doing a lot of work on the heroes, but that's the fact that they threw the wall down so early.
Well,
I think Stanga can just safely say, keep going.
And it does last for a sickly long time now. It's 45 seconds. That buff was like really massive purely for this purpose, just defending high ground, to be honest. You pop down the wall and it's like 40 seconds that your enemy probably doesn't want to pass, but in this situation Stanga, they wanted to back off anyway. They really need a little bit more mana on Broodmother to properly keep on fighting. Otherwise this Broodmother, if you can't use your like Dagon, you pretty much aren't doing anything.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised what the fact that Horde hasn't cleared out this bottom section of trees. They have vacuum for it, so they can actually do it pretty easily. So if you get rid of the trees, like Broodmother can't just snipe the supports again. And that really hurts. God, the Witch Doctor has had such a hard game, just being the primary target for those Dagon snipes.
It's a tough life for him. It's the casual support life. I mean, being up against the Broodmother is already like sucky in the laning phase in all honesty. You have to get sentries, dust. It's just really hard when he already gets like a semi-decent Spiderling army and everything. But they're holding on bottom lane. They did get the tower down, but in the meantime Hex is finished now. AC, how close is he to it? Has a plate mail in the inventory, so he needs another like 600 gold to finish up the entire thing.
And that's going to be a very big item pickup for the Tiny. Once he has the Assault Cuirass, he's going to be hitting those towers even harder, and he's going to be hitting heroes relatively hard, and the extra armor is going to benefit him too. So finally having the Assault Cuirass, the Tiny is going to actually be a massive threat. And Horde, do they actually have enough to deal with him? They're going to try and find Miggy instead though, so Judah. The fish is going to be there, keep the Dazzle in place, and he just goes down to the Desolator armor reduction. So nice pickup for Horde. It's just going to force Stanga away and pretty much prevent them from going any sort of high ground push because that Dazzle was offline.
I mean, for a second I thought Joey might be in trouble as well, but Deadmau5 didn't get close enough with the gem there to see him being in the Ghost Walk, of course. But now Solar Crest finished up on the Witch Doctor. So if they just lock down a target and use the Solar Crest, maybe a couple of cool stacks from the Bristleback and the Desolator, there's no target tanky enough to just take it at the moment. Maybe the Tiny can survive all of that once he gets the AC finished, but at the moment the hero of the highest armor is Dazzle, funny enough, with 12 armor on Stanga's side.
He will actually lose a lot of the armor because of
using his own medallion.
The medallion, yeah. So he has to use the medallion on the Tiny. But I'm actually expecting Horde to pop the Solar Crest onto the Tiny because that 30% miss chance from the Solar Crest is huge. This Tiny, I don't think Tiny's ever built MKBs. So that's going to be pretty scary for that Tiny. He might have to build an MKB this game.
Yeah, I think Bristleback might even want to like invest into Heaven's Halberd anyway. Just to make it so that Tiny main usually doesn't really want to build a BKB either if we can help it. And this game, although BKB might be nice against some certain abilities, there's still quite a bit of physical. Oh, they get the Hex onto the Bristleback though. He still has enough money for buyback. Gets tossed onto the Witch Doctor though, so farther away from Stanga's team. And he hardly took any damage as well from it.
Well, remember, it's not going to cancel out the Bristleback passive. So Bristleback's still going to be relatively tanky, and actually Tiny, that might be a problem. The Fish are going to connect onto two. Very nice stuff from Horde, and they're going to go right after the Tiny and Wisp. He's going to try and go for the relocate. Not going to happen though, and actually Ingmunda's going to be in trouble. Although he just goes into Ghost Scepter form and TPs. Did he just go? Yeah, he just Ghost Sceptered. Oh, meanwhile, though, Broodmother up to shenanigans. Jolum actually going to be found. He's going to kill off the Earthshaker, and he's going to show himself, though. So this is going to be the end of that Broodmother. Going to try and TP. Will he get out in time? He actually does! Oh, my goodness. Very unfortunate for Horde. They get some decent kills, but not getting that Broodmother kill really hurts.
Yes, I mean, you still lose the Tiny Fiskestanga, but you got the tier 3 down. You got a little bit of damage on the range tracks as well, which of course won't heal. So it's well worth it with the Broodmother escaping like that, and just the E-Blade Dagon combination. It makes the Dagon so much better just because it kind of like nullifies your base magic resistance, plus then a little bit extra even. So you take quite a bit of damage. You take like, I'd say maybe 900 damage from the Dagon, give or take, something like that. So it's a huge burst, plus of course then there's the spawn spiderlings to follow, amplified by the Dagon, which is like 350-ish damage, I suppose. But Darkseer does have a Shiva's card, so tanks up himself even further. Plus of course just using the Shiva's card, gonna be able to kite around the Tiny, kill the spiderlings so easily. So Horde, as long as they don't lose like entire sets of racks, they should be just fine as they are.
Yeah, they can hang on, and they have some heroes to really scale into the late game, so the situation isn't looking that bad. The only issue is, can they hang on for that long? They're going to try and find Jolum. Shiva's going to be deployed, and they do see the big spider mama, and unfortunately Jolum actually gets the kill onto Dead Mouse. Echo Slam not even connecting, gem on the deck, and actually that Fissure going to be problematic because they can't even pick up the gem. Big loss for Horde. Oh my goodness. That Fissure pretty much killed the Darkseer because everyone just couldn't get close enough.
Oh, Jolum might be in trouble. I mean, there's no... Oh, never mind. Shallow Grave keeps him alive. Does have the Dagon as well, but doesn't want to use it into the back of the Bristleback. But like I said, the Fissure just not completely on point. Although they thought that they have an easy kill, they just needed that little bit of lockdown. But underestimating the power, and suddenly Alacrity double damage Tiny with a Solar Crest. Is it fully finished? Yeah, Solar Crest on Dazzle onto Roshan as well. That Roche went down damn fast, and Tiny, well, he can get another item, so maybe sell a magic one. If you really want to, you can also use the Moon Shard, but I don't think it's at that point yet.
No, normally when you use the Moon Shard, once your 6th slot, so at this point he can just kind of hang on to that.
Have you even seen somebody use Moon Shard?
I've never. This is the first time I've seen the item in competitive play, so technically no, haven't seen it been consumed yet.
I've seen it like also built like once, maybe twice before, but never has anybody gotten to the point where they're like, guys, I just have so many items, I can't take it, I have to use it. Or buy it to just use it, I don't know. To be honest, what I would like to see in competitive is Alchemist, Aghanims sharing.
Well, who doesn't like sharing? So here we go there. It's going to be the counter initiation from Stanga because Horde, they're going to try and do whatever they can. Unfortunately, the Witch Doctor hexed up into a pig and he's going to be turned into Stanga's roast. So Horde, they're pretty much going to just cower in their base. They have all their ultimates available except for the Echo Slam, which they tried to use in the jungle earlier, but it's coming off cooldown very, very shortly. So can Horde make a good counter-initiation Fissure? Just going to pretty much isolate the Tiny from the rest of his team. He has Aegis though, so it might be problematic. They're going to relocate him very, very early. Actually relocating it up into the top lane. They want to try and take this down, but actually Ingmunda, he's going to be in trouble. 3 seconds left on the relocate. Echo Slam going to keep him in place. They want the Wisp, and they actually got him. Now the rest of Stanga, are they going to get out in time though? There's going to be a really nice ice wall thrown out by the Invoker to slow them down. But meanwhile, down the bottom lane, we still have Broodmother and Jolum. He's doing what he needs to. He's got 1 Rax and he wants the other one, but will he be found out? There's no detection on Horde, so they can't actually kill off the Broodmother, so Jolum's going to be able to get out safely. Oh my goodness. It's just absolute disaster. They buy the gem and Jolum going to go for a TP, but actually can he get out? He won't, because he gets cancelled by a Fissure and he goes down very quickly because of the Desolator.
Yeah, I think he kind of outplayed himself there. Had he just stayed where he was at the racks, the detection would have come rather late there, I think. But of course, you can't really hope So like, oh, maybe they don't have detections, because at this point in the game, everybody should be carrying around enough of it. But still, they get the range racks down, melee racks down to half HP, but Tiny still holding on to the Aegis. Is gonna have a Silver Age completely finished really shortly. So that's gonna be just another item for the Tiny to try to get close to somebody, maybe blow them up, but whoa, Bristleback is gonna finish his own AC right now. So that's gonna be a just counterbalance towards the Tinies. And
the Silver Edge, though, what's it called? The Shadow Walk, the active is actually going.
Whatever it does, I don't know.
Yeah, the break. It's actually going to be very deadly for the Bristleback because it breaks his Bristleback, and with that Bristleback, your Bristleback is he's actually very squishy.
Oh, the amount of Bristlebacks there, but.
Yes.
I've always found it weird that his name is the same as one of his abilities. It's like Bristleback breaks. I don't know. But Tiny gonna get slowed down, tosses away just to buy a little bit of time. Paralyzing Cast bounces once, but not gonna be enough. Relocate was also used. Tornado, it's gonna hit.
Oh,
what?
Poor Rebo.
How the hell did that hit?
Probably the edge.
Big ass
Edge of the
tornado.
pixel.
Or
Yeah.
not the big ass tornado, but a strong tornado. Just the suction was strong.
Tornado was strong. So now that both supports are down for Horde, Stanga, they see the opening and they want to just go straight down the middle of the map. And where's the Broodmother actually still? Oh, actually, interestingly enough, Jolem's not going to go bottom. He's just going to go mid lane with the rest of his team. And, well, why not? They've got the advantage. The wall has been deployed, so a couple of illusions of the Tiny have been made alacrity. There's going to be a vacuum. 3 heroes into the wall. Look at how much damage the Tiny's taking, but in the backline, Deadmau taking a lot of damage from the Broodmother. He's going to go down. Deadmau trying to do whatever he can. He can't actually vacuum anymore because it's on cooldown. They do lose the Tiny in the process, but it's an Aegis. Stanga, Tiny is expendable with that Aegis. Jolem, though, down towards the bottom lane, going to take the racks, and unfortunately, Bristleback going to go down to the Tiny. Now, Fissure, just to slow it down, buybacks are being forced out now by Horde and Stanga. How do they want to do this? They keep fighting. Looks like they do. Look at how much damage the poor Witch Doctor did. Not even able to get the Death Ward down. Then Horde, they're scattering. They're panicking. Echo Slam, they're going to connect them to 3 heroes. That was with the vacuum combination into the wall as well. Whisper's down, Joey's down, and it looks like the Tiny didn't go down. He's actually fighting up against this Bristleback. Will he survive? There's the Grave coming up from the Dazzle to keep alive the Tiny, and all of a sudden this Bristleback's going to go down to a Broodmother. Only 1 hero left, and it's an Earthshaker without an Echo Slam. GG coming out from Horde. That final combination just not enough to save them the game.
It was really just the Weaver dying, getting a little bit too close to the Tiny, getting Avalanche tossed and smacked down before he can time-lapse, before he can like properly BKB or anything. So maybe slight misplays coming out from Horde, but the game was still rather even, and I was legitimately worried for Fiskestanga at some point. But Horde, although they were like in the game quite nicely, they weren't falling too far behind or anything, they never really had the initiative themselves. They were always forced to just react and couldn't really get out there on the map and like get organized with ganks of their own, for example, at least for the most part. And in the end, just Tiny, a little bit too big, especially with double lives there for him. So Fiskestanga, they take game number 1, but this is, after all, a best of 3 series, guys. So we're going to be coming back with game number 2 in hopefully just a couple of minutes. And so, of course, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed. And if you did, be sure to check us out. We're mostly on HeflaTV. So it's HeflaTV on both Facebook and Twitter for the casters, at Couchor for me, at Danelie casts for my co-caster. It's also in the title of the stream. And of course, huge shout out to the sponsors as well. eBattle, Plantronics, Asus, the main sponsor, Tesoro, Silicon Power. I may have missed some, but at least I got most of them if I even missed any. But guys, we'll be back with game number 2 in just a few.